Hello, family. We hope that you're enjoying yourselves here with us on the Lit Television Network. We're interrupting the current programming in order to begin our following scheduled broadcast. Enjoy.
This is Pragmatic Solutions with John Wyche on the Lit TV Network. That's right, the Lit TV Network. And over here, Lit, we lit. Again, this is Pragmatic Solutions with John Wyche on the Lit TV Network. I am so proud and happy to come to you again. And again, as I always say, the prayers of parents that know how to get a prayer through, by the way. The prayers of grandparents, uncles, aunties, sisters, brothers, community members, those prayers sustain us when our ancestors are gone. The prayers of my mom and my dad, the prayers of my wife, because my wife is a prayer warrior. The prayers of my wife, Alicia Wyche, she's a prayer warrior. Those prayers sustain our family forever. We're still benefiting from the prayers of my mom and my dad as siblings. Because Henry Wyche and Gladys Wyche really knew how to get a prayer through. And my wife has continued that tradition. Alicia Wyche, she's a prayer warrior. She's a prayer warrior, and she knows how to get a prayer through. And again, the other thing I always talk about is what? Black dollars need to be transferred from one black hand to another. That's called a turning over dollars and economics basics. The economic basics is this: a community is stronger if they turn dollars over inside that community. What do I mean? If I get a dollar, I spend that dollar with someone that's black in our community. They spend that dollar with someone. That's turning the dollar over twice. The more we turn dollars over in our community, the more powerful our community is. And with that, I need to bring on my guest because I don't want to take any more time talking about anything else but her. Miss Gandhi, how you doing?
Well, I'm born in South Africa. I am a South African. I live in Durban, but I was born in Inanda, a predominantly African settlement. And that's where the Phoenix settlement is located. I'm so happy to be on Lit TV Network today, and greetings to all of you.
Thank you very much. Miss Gandhi, if you would give a little background about the commitment of your family to the world. Your family has been a gift to the world, and just talk about how you guys are brought up to understand that you are a universal gift and not just a wherever you located gift. So just talk a little bit about that and your family and you.
Okay. So in 1893, which is a long, long time ago, Mahatma Gandhi came to South Africa as a young man of 24 years of age. He was commissioned by a family to help in a lawsuit. And so he came here on a professional business.
Okay.
Having lived in South Africa for a number of years, he realized the discrimination, the unjust treatment in South Africa against the non-white people. And as a result, in 1904, he decided that he needed to change his lifestyle. His whole attitude to life changed in 1904. And the three things that that inspired him to change. One was that the good of the individual is contained in the good of all.
Say that again. I like that.
The
I like
good
that.
of the individual is contained in the good of all. So that was the first, factor that made him change his lifestyle. The second one was that all work must be respected no matter what you do. Whether you're a street sweeper or you're a lawyer, you are doing a piece of job and it should be respected equally. And so all work must be respected and regarded with dignity. Every aspect, everything that a person does. So that was the second principle which led him to establish the Phoenix settlement. And then the third one was that living on the land, of the land, is the most noble thing to do. And that was a consideration of environmental and conservation issues. So it was these three things that inspired him to move out of the city from a comfortable home into a little house out in the rural area in a virtually a bushy place, and to start a communal living in that area, different lifestyle altogether, living with people, living within a group, and so on, with people who had the same ideas as him, who would appreciate the same philosophy as he had started, visualizing. He talks about this in his book, and these three aspects are noted as the things that he realized from a little booklet that he read by Ruskin unto this last. And this is how he interpreted the book. And that is the reason why he started the Phoenix settlement. So Phoenix settlement was started in 1904 with those beginnings. And it grew. At Phoenix settlement, it wasn't only Gandhiji. It was a number of families who came to live there. And most of all, it was his wife, Kasturba, who lived on the Phoenix settlement more often than he did. She spent her entire life in South Africa
Wow.
from 1904 to 1914, 10 years at the Phoenix settlement.
Wow.
Whilst Gandhiji was commuting between Johannesburg and Durban, she was at the Phoenix settlement at the coal face of life in that area, and she was running the whole settlement
Wow.
herself.
Wow. Can you,
So a very powerful woman who has been, uh, not given the importance that she should have been given.
well, the great
And I
thing
would
about
like
her
to
and
mention
hers,
that it's importance that she was his partner out there on Phoenix settlement.
well, and the great thing about what you just said is that there is always a strong woman supporting and leading, and a lot of times they don't get their just due. But thank you for bringing that out, because a lot of people, don't know she exists. But without her, there was a lot of the things that Gandhi was able to do. We wouldn't have been able to accomplish, because she held down, him, the family, the house, and she also led. So she was not just a bystander, but she was an integral part in the movement that Gandhi. And I noticed you said, and I noticed in the spelling, we say in the West Gandhi, but you say Ganji, Ganje,
I say Gandhi G because
Gandhi.
when you add a G to the name, it's a form of respect.
Gotcha.
Instead of saying Mr. Gandhi or something, you add G to the name, and that is a form of respect.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Thank you. Talk to me about the printing press and the clinic. And reason I want to talk about the clinic is over in America, there's a dearth of black doctors, and I wish that there was an opportunity for us to create more black doctors in America. Is there an opportunity for us to do that? Because I've got a young nephew, and he's going to be a doctor one of these days. And I'd love for him to, if there's an opportunity for him to go to South Africa and go to medical school in South Africa. I'd love to be the conduit that gets him to South Africa and gets to be a doctor. Is there a possibility of something like that happening?
Possibilities are there, but there are lots of difficulties as well.
Okay.
I'll tell you what are some of the difficulties. We have a medical council, and that council has to approve the degree. Wherever the person has qualified, that degree has to be approved by the council before any doctor from any part of the world can come and practice in South Africa. So that's the first hurdle, that the medical council has to accept the degree. The second hurdle is that even if they do accept the degree, they do ask them to do some practicals before the degree can be properly recognized.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some practicals depending on what they decide, that has to be done. And then finally, what sector the person wants to work in, private sector, public sector, and the place that the person wants to work in.
Understand.
So those are some of the issues that need to be ironed out and need to be seen, whether the criteria is met.
And really, what I was really discussing was folks that want to go to medical school. Maybe they want to travel overseas to go to medical school instead of being trying to get into medical school in America. So that's what I was really talking about. But we can talk about that on another time. I want to drill down on the Phoenix Settlement Trust and the University of Natal, who is they got medical school doctors. How has that helped the settlement grow, flourish?
So during the apartheid years, Inanda was a very big area, and largely very poor people lived in that area. And there was no clinic, no, doctor, no medical services in the area, with the result that the people from Inanda had to travel many kilometers in order to access medical care in Durban. So as a result, in around 1960s, 1963, we started a clinic at Phoenix Settlement. It started with voluntary doctors and voluntary help, clerical, nursing help, and so on. We used to provide that. And twice a week, qualified doctors would come and look at the patients in that area. So that's how it started, on a very small beginning. But before we knew what's what, we had such a lot of people coming to the clinic for assistance that we had to start a primary health care center.
Wow.
And we did that with the help of the University of Natal, KwaZulu-Natal, which has a medical school. And at that time, the medical school was functioning. It's still functioning at this stage. And a lot of the students, as well as the professors from the medical school, used to come out to Phoenix and assist the patients there with primary health care. Now, in those days of apartheid, primary health care was unheard of. This was the first time that people began to speak about primary health care and
Wow.
to look at the importance of primary health care, because a lot of it is preventative work. And so, they came there and began to establish routes of primary health care, uh, you
Wow.
know, as a very important part of healthcare facilities.
Wow. And it
So
should be a
this is
right.
what started in Inanda
Wow.
at
Wow.
Phoenix.
Wow. And it should be a right. Sometimes we in America are still fighting over that family health care and the importance of it and catching something early instead of waiting. And not even if it's available, it's not affordable. And if it's affordable, it's not available, kind of thing. So you guys have kind of connected that disconnect to help the folks. Can you tell me? Can you tell me? Do you have a website? I know you do. Can we get that website to people so if they want to go up on the internet and see some of the work, some of the great work that the Phoenix settlement is doing, they can do that?
Yes, we do have a website. It's still work in progress. We don't, unfortunately, at the moment, we are struggling for resources. And so we don't have many resources. We have to, everyone that's working is volunteer worker, and therefore we are not able to put in a lot. But there is a sizable information on the website. It's called www.phoenixsettlement, Phoenix settlement, all one word, .org.za.
And the information you sent me just talks about the length of time and the commitment of your family to the world and to this universe, and also how you have enriched the lives of not only the South Africans, but Africans and really the world. Uh, Talk to me about has what kind of impact has the people that have come through the communal have had on the world in South Africa and Durban? Tell me about their impact, because I know you got some great stories.
All right, so what is important is that there was a neighborhood. Phoenix Settlement wasn't an island. Phoenix Settlement was established right next door, on the borders. On one side was the Shembe settlement. Isaiah Shembe was a visionary who established a church, a Nazareth church, in the Inanda area, and he had a huge settlement of people living there, and they were our immediate neighbors.
Okay.
On the other side was Mr. John Dube, who was very much influenced by Booker T. Washington,
Right.
and he started a school at Oshlange, which was, based on the Booker T. Washington idea of self-sufficiency and so on. Now, the three of them, Gandhi, Dube, and Shembe, they shared common vision. And some of the things that they shared was a shared spirituality. All three of them were highly spiritual people, and, they shared that spirituality. The second thing is they also shared the idea of self-sufficiency and dignity of the individual. So all three of them spoke about the dignity, about how they can make the people self-sufficient and be able to stand up on their own feet and be counted. So that was another aspect. The third aspect was justice and human rights. All three of them believed in justice and human rights, and they worked for justice and human rights together. So these were some of the ideas that informed these three leaders. And we presume that they must have had some discussions because all three shared the same ideas
Mm-hmm.
and worked along the same lines.
Mm-hmm.
And they also appreciated media and the power of media. So Dr. Dubin had his own newspaper called the Ilangalasi Natal, and Gandhi had his own newspaper called the Indian Opinion.
I like that Indian opinion. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And in this newspaper, they published stories to educate the community, to inform them, conscientize them, and to mobilize the community into action of, against human rights abuses. So from Phoenix Settlement, there were a number of defiance campaigns that were held, and in which women participated. And one of the people who participated was my grandmother, Kasturba. She marched against a law and was imprisoned in Pietermaritzburg for nearly 4 months
Wow.
with hard labor.
Wow.
So, women in 1913, when many women around the world didn't even have a vote, these were women who stood up and fought for their rights. There was also Nokutela Dube, who was the wife of Mr. John Dube, and she also participated in a number of campaigns and worked alongside her husband in the liberation movement. So, these are women that made their own history and their own contribution to the struggle.
The other thing there was two things that really jumped out at me as I was reading the information in preparation for interviewing you was as I was reading about the Phoenix settlement, I immediately thought about when did Booker T. Washington's impact reach them? Because I see where the importance of living on the land, the importance of all workers is respected, because that's exactly what Booker T was talking about. He was talking more about trades, more about living off the land, being self-sufficient, that kind of thing. So as I was reading, I said, I wonder if there was an impact. So now I'm finding that there was some kind of impact, and I guarantee those guys were talking back in the day over the fence about, hey, this is what we're doing over here. Best, and they didn't call it best practice, but I'm sure it was best practice. Okay, this worked, this didn't work, So, and the other thing that jumps out at me is this: the power of women that sometimes gets overlooked because they're focused on the man when they need to understand that because the woman is supporting him, he's able to do the powerful things that he's doing. And oh, by the way, that woman is still impacting society in her own way. Those are the two things that really jumped out at me. And the other thing that I want you to just talk about is I know they bought 20 acres and then they bought 80 more acres. So you got like 100 acres on this. That's a lot of land.
It was.
That's powerful right there by itself.
Agriculture. Well, there were almost 100 families at one time living on the settlement.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's the future look like for the settlement?
At the present moment, things are not looking as they were in 1904. What happened is in 1985, the Phoenix settlement was burnt down by apartheid, regime and their supporters. And it was burnt down on a Friday, and by Sunday, 2 days later, hundreds of families were brought there, shown land, and they settled on the settlement, built their informal houses.
Okay.
So these were not people who knew who Gandhi was,
Mm-hmm.
who came there because of an ideal. They were just people who were homeless,
Mm-hmm.
needed a house, and they came and settled. So
Mm-hmm.
there was no ideological connection between the settlers at that time in 1985 and what Gandhiji believed in. That made it difficult for the settlement to continue with the kind of work that we were doing. It took us many years to convince the community that there is importance in the settlement, historic importance, and that they should help us to preserve that importance. And after like 5 years in 1990, when things began to change in South Africa and people began to understand what Phoenix was about, then the people agreed to move out of the top section of the settlement.
Okay.
And the city council then built them houses. So we lost a lot of land during that time. We do.
Miss Gandhi, I've got like 30 seconds. And what I want to do with these last 30 seconds is this. I want to I want you to tell my The Lit TV network audience that what we can do to help. And like I said, I got like 30 seconds.
Okay, so we have started a club called Club 150 Club, the Gandhi 150 Club. And if you go to our website, you will see the 150 Club, and people can become members and can contribute. What we say in South Africa, what we have been saying is that you can contribute 150 Rand a month towards Phoenix settlement. In that way, Phoenix won't be dependent on one rich person or an industry, but on people. And
Good.
that is what we want, people involvement. By
Okay.
becoming members of the 150 Club, you will get information on what's happening at Phoenix. You will be able to contribute your ideas to Phoenix and tell us what you would like to see at Phoenix.
All right.
And we try to put that into action. So
All right.
that is what
We'll make
we are
sure.
trying to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Involve
Thank you.
people.
Yes, ma'am. And
Thank
we will put that up on the on the show so that people can start contributing to the great work of the Phoenix settlement. And again, thank you for the opportunity to have you on Pragmatic Solutions with John Wyche and Miss Miss Gandhi G. Can you tell them what network you're on?
Well, I am on the with network, and it's a pleasure to be on this network.
Thank you.
Thank you.